Okay, let's get going here. All right, good evening, everybody. Let's take our traditional get acquainted, say hello, make sure everything technically is working. All right. So we're streaming to Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube right now. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to hit that follow button. It's been one heck of a week and a day since the tragic news. That's for sure. Okay, so we're just getting settled in here. It's 7 o'clock Eastern, 7:06 to be exact, here on the East Coast. Man, we have a lot to touch on. We're going to interact tonight. I want to hear from you guys as well once we get underway. Regarding a few topics, I'm going to touch on some topics tonight that folks have been messaging me about quite a bit. Things I've stayed away from, and I'll give you my 2 cents on things. All right, everybody in the house. We got Texas in the house. All right. Yeah, right. Good evening. Go Guardians, huh? Yeah, you know what? I've been so busy with the news that I haven't been paying attention, but I did today. And oh boy, to my friends in Michigan, in Detroit, sorry about that. We're on fire over here. This should be fun. That's good because it's like my little getaway when I want to escape the news. But yeah, I know they're called the Guardians, but you know what? I'm ready to sign a petition. Whoever wants to start one to change it back to the Indians. Okay, here we go. Norway in the house. Beautiful. I love seeing the friends from across the pond and other parts of the world, and it's fantastic. We have people from Canada, the UK, Australia, Norway. It's fantastic. Montana in the house. Michigan's in the house. Like I just said, sorry, we kind of beat up on you. We swept you guys. Okay. More Michigan in the house. All right. Arkansas. Hey, Adriana. Oregon in the house. Oh, we're going to talk about Oregon. We're going to touch on Antifa, Portland, Oregon. It's the epicenter for Antifa as far as the United States goes. All right. Yeah. Let's go Indians. Redskins too. Yeah, let's change that name back. We're unraveling everything as it is. Let's change these names back. All right. New Hampshire's in the house. Again, we're just settling in. We take a few minutes. If you're new to the show, we just take a few minutes to get settled in. Say hello to one another, and we'll get started. We'll get interacting. We'll agree. We'll agree to disagree. Okay. Minnesota. Big Mo. Love from Minnesota. There we go. Like I said, Australia's in the house. Wonderful. And I have I have a friend who's in Australia. You guys have met him before. Jason Holborn. Yeah, I think he's an incredible podcaster, reporter. And you're going to be seeing more of Jason soon because we did have a meeting on last Wednesday, but the news broke about Charlie Kirk. So we put things on the back burner, but we're going to get going here soon. You're going to be seeing his face quite a bit. Okay. Hey, Florida's in the house. Thank you for the compliment. Kentucky, North Carolina, Buffalo, Buffalo girl, won't you come out tonight? There's the UK. Mark's in the house from across the pond. It's a little past your bedtime there, Mark, but I appreciate you tuning in. Uh, my condolences, California. Yeah, it sucks for some of us, I guess. I'm assuming South Dakota. Much love from Michigan. Yeah, I have absolutely nothing but love. I don't hate anybody. New Jersey here. New Jersey. Okay. Minnesota's in the house. Alabama's in the house. Texas Panhandle's in the house. Oklahoma. Leesburg, Georgia. Sweet Home Chicago is in the house. The Blues Brothers is one of my top 10 favorite movies. I always think of them in Chicago. England is in the house. The president just left. He's in the sky. As a matter of fact, I don't know when he left. He might actually touch down here while I'm on the air back here in the States. So, all right. Tennessee's in the house. Lots of Michigan. That's cool. Got a lot of neighbors. We're right next door to each other. All right. Wisconsin's in the house. Mark uses matchstick on his eyelids to stay awake. You're awesome. Hey, Bruce, you should do investigation on Minnesota and all its fraud. I'll keep you busy for weeks. Why don't you do that for me? You do that for me, and you report to me, and I'll be glad to do that. I could use some help. Speaking of, listen, okay, I'll take you inside the world here. Speaking of help, again, I'll never stop saying it, how grateful I am for your guys' support. Okay. So let's take you inside the workings here. Let me share a page. We'll start the show this way, I guess. Okay. All right. So there's my current Facebook page, live feed of that right now. So I'll go into here. It's been crazy. It's there we go. These are the last 28 days. 28.5 million views, not counting today. So, and a big part of it went up as well last week, Wednesday, with the breaking news, of course, that got quite a bit. And again, the most important thing, the reason I'm talking about this, it's because of your shares and spreading things, liking, commenting, sharing, and everything else, that this is possible. Okay. I couldn't do any of this without you guys. It's just very humbling, and I'm very grateful. I look at these numbers on a daily basis, and of course, I try to, look at things, and I'm doing analyzing and business sense and all that. But because you guys know how serious I take this now, that I want this to continue to go on for a very long time to come. I would love to be a part of being a part of what I see is the way the future is going, and we're going to transition into this in a second with ABC, with mainstream media news. I put out a post, and I said, I think this was yesterday, that independent media, independent news is going to be soon will be the new mainstream media. In some sense, it's like that already. Okay. And you're seeing that in certain areas. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how independent media is really making an impact. Okay. So I will get rid of this. Okay. So, as you know, Jimmy Kimmel was canceled last night. Okay. And uh, s- speaking of mainstream media, independent news becoming mainstream media, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I think I did that on the last show. I was, and I had my right to be. I'm very careful about when I mention other people's names and calling them out. It has to be kind of like a big deal. But there was a small. I've always talked about Benny Johnson. I always respected him, and I still do. Okay, but there was a small, I guess, little hiccup. I don't know what you want to call it. That I said I was a little disappointed in Benny and some of the things he was posting, and I caught him with. I don't. He didn't do it intentional. I can tell you that. I caught him with some um, bad reporting. Put it that way, and I made that known, and I just have got to be responsible out here. I don't like policing other people at all, but I do know that a lot of people who follow they follow me, for example. I know the other people that you follow as well. Okay. Not all of them I agree with. There's some folks that are still doing this from the very beginning that are very trustworthy. There's some that have lost all credibility and people are still following them for what reason? I don't know. Um, but consistency is the key. So, anyways, Benny Johnson had Brendan Carr, FCC chair, on yesterday. I did post a clip to my page. It's about 10 minutes long, I do believe. And this is prior to the announcement of Benny and the Brendan Carr interview. Now, I've spoken about Brendan Carr quite a bit. When Trump became president, he started making the appointments. We kind of knew who was going to be in what positions to an extent, and he's putting everybody out there. But I can tell you one of the big ones that I paid attention to is who Trump was going to appoint to the FCC chair. And then he appointed Brendan Carr. I mentioned his name quite a few times on this show, and I said, make sure you follow him over there on X, because he'll put out a lot of information. He'll keep you up to date. Uh, so Benny's report yesterday gets a lot of credit. I got to give him credit where credit is due. That's amazing. Um, he's obviously Benny has the inside connections, if you will. Okay. So I'm glad he's in that spotlight. It could have been anybody else or other people I'd be quite afraid of. But Benny can do an interview, and he did a great job yesterday. And I think I'm going to give you my opinion. Okay. It was designed yesterday. When I go back and look at everything leading up to the Kimmel uh, cancellation and pulling Kimmel from the airways at ABC, that interview, I believe, happened in the morning yesterday or late morning, something like that. And I thought that was fantastic because you really I don't remember seeing Brendan Carr on a podcast interview of that length, um, and that many eyeballs on him, if ever, since he started with President Trump. Um, I know he's been on CNBC and all that stuff and Money Market, some interviews, but to be on Benny's show yesterday, I thought was really cool. And then going throughout the day, then we get the breaking news last night, early evening, about Jimmy Kimmel. First, it was it Nexstar? It was okay, and then I'm going to start to save your questions for a little bit once we get into it. All right, we're going to get into it, I promise. But with the announcement, the Nexstar goes ahead and makes the announcement. They control the major markets like Chicago, LA, New York. So that was a big deal, like 40% of the market. And then shortly after that, ABC, Disney followed suit and did the same thing. So I would assume that meant Hulu Plus, or Disney Plus, Hulu, and all that. Of course, I tuned in last night to see what they put on. They put reruns of Family Feud on. They only had a couple hours, so an executive had to make a decision, or a producer in that time slot, and said, "Just got to throw something on, throw Family Feud on." Nobody's watching anyways. So, so here we are now. I have no idea what is going to happen as far as that goes. Look at, for example, look at Conan O'Brien. He went through some stuff when it went through NBC and then to TBS, and then he started doing his own thing. Look, everybody that's been fired so far, whether it's and I'll tell you what, who does a disgusting, this worse than he did on the air at CNN. Okay, Don Lemon is grotesque. I don't know if you've come across. I'm not saying go follow him, but me having to report the news, I got to look at everything. And what he does now he's doing some man on the street type thing, and he's going out there and shoving a microphone in people's faces, and you could tell he's very condescending and trying to goad them, and he's really it's so disgusting. And what I mean by disgusting is that he's trying to goad people to kind of say with the Charlie Kirk assassination that he wants people to say he was a racist and all these bad things. It's deplorable. It's hard to watch sometimes, and I could tell you that Don Lemon is probably one particular person that he's probably one person that I hope and I pray to God, and God hears me right now, that he never crosses my path. Let's put it that way, okay? Because I don't think I'd be able to contain myself without giving him an earful, put it that way. I think he's a disgusting human being. I really do. But with that said, so Kimmel's off the air. Let's go to a clip. I'm going to bring up a clip right now. And I guess just before I came on the air, Brendan Carr was on, I think it was Scott Jenkins' podcast. Let's take a look at this. Let's listen. Apparently, Brendan Carr is going to go after The View. Let's take a look. Let me grab the clip. There we go.
Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers at NBC. Just wondering, do you have comments on those shows? And are they doing what Kimmel did Monday night? And is it even worse on those programs, in your opinion?
Well, if you can be unfunny, that's fine. And a lot of people are sort of saying that, well, people are punishing Kimmel because they don't like a joke that he told. But, we don't need to rehash it here. But obviously what he said was not a joke. It wasn't presented at all that way. But when you look at these other TV shows, what's interesting is the FCC does have a rule called the equal opportunity rule, which means, for instance, if you're in the run-up to an election, you have one partisan elected official on, you have to give equal time, equal opportunity to the opposing partisan politician. So far, so good. But there's an exception to that rule called the bona fide news exception, which means if you are a bona fide news program, you don't have to abide by the equal opportunity rule. And over the years, the FCC has developed a body of case law on that and has suggested that most of these late night shows, other than SNL, are bona fide news programs. And potentially, I would assume, you can make the argument that The View is a bona fide news show. But I'm not so sure about that. And I think it's worthwhile to have the FCC look into whether The View and some of these other programs that you have still qualify as bona fide news programs and therefore exempt from the equal opportunity regime that Congress has put in place.
Got about 30 seconds.
Okay, so that was shortly ago before I came on the air. That was Brendan, the voice of Brendan Carr, FCC chair, on with Scott Jenkins there. So I'm glad I was able to grab that before I came on. So yesterday, again, if you're kind of paying attention to what is going on, okay, here's what I believe. This is my opinion only. All right. So you start with coming in the door, and immediately you start this this group of people. You form this group of people called Doge, and then you have Elon Musk and team cleaning out the closet, gutting waste and fraud, gutting USAID. We found out that funding with there was no receipts, no accountability, hardly any, none of that whatsoever. We learned along the way about what money was being spent on. And you remember the laundry list of things are just ridiculous, if you will. And then, things like funding for Sesame Street in different parts of the world and programming for like Sesame Street and propaganda. So I believe a lot of that funding that Doge did cut is directly affecting. I know these are juggernauts, and I realize these are big mainstream media networks, okay? When you've got your ABCs and CBSs and all that. But at the same time, they're watching, okay? And I think they've come to the realization that the amount that Donald Trump has done in these few months, 8 months, whatever it's been, 8 months now, they know he's serious. He's going fast and furious, and there's a lot more Donald Trump left. And not just that, I think they see the writing on the wall. All right. And what the writing on the wall is there to see a Democrat president in that White House. There's no vision for them to see that anytime soon. And they realize this is going to be many years in the making. So they have a decision to make. Now, I believe that Jimmy Kimmel was absolutely inserted deep state. I believe the ABC networks were compromised. Okay, why would you keep that kind of propaganda on? Now, if we were still under a Biden regime, okay, and Trump wasn't in the White House, and Jimmy Kimmel did what he did, said what he said, he probably wouldn't be fired. He'd still be on the air tonight. He would have been on the air last night. We all know that. These networks are probably being strong-armed as well. Let's be real here. All right. Brendan Carr going on Benny yesterday. Again, if you remember the CBS merger with Skydance, bringing in new blood as well to police the news, to change that format as well. I remember reporting that story about a month ago. And so I've been paying very close attention to these things. This is the big one. Okay. Now this is bigger than Kimmel. Now Kimmel's one slot, but he's a big voice for the deep state, if you will. I'm sure there's a bunch of yahoos right now tonight out there protesting in the street by Kimmel's studio, even though he's not there. I didn't even check on that today, but I'm sure they are. So ABC and the apparent companies like Nexstar, etc. There's other companies. It's like when you make a movie, for example, like I have a company called My Fix Entertainment. I could do work with another company, and they may be helping me in a certain area, and this company may be going to be responsible for streaming the film. So you got a lot of people who have their hands in the pie, but you have Disney, Hulu, same thing. ABC, same thing. Nexstar, kind of same thing, but different, if you will. And they pulled Jimmy Kimmel off the air, which is a great thing. But I think they saw the writing on the wall. It was more than just a backlash, because I'm sure there has been a lot of backlash about Jimmy Kimmel prior to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So was this just the tipping point, if you will, for them to finally say enough is enough? Perhaps. But at the same time, this has a lot to do with ratings and money. Okay. Obviously, when it comes to ratings and money, I don't know what the ratings for Jimmy Kimmel were. I really don't. Matter of fact, I'm only going by President Trump telling me. I haven't looked into it, but I know they've tanked. And look when when they turned on all their assets, and what I mean by assets, they turned on everybody the moment that Trump won the first election. So then all of a sudden, they turn on their assets, as in The View, every late night talk show, and they go after Donald Trump. And that's the way it's been for years. And so now is a time to where we need to be very careful, because we need to continue. It's what happened yesterday is a combination of them finally tapping out and getting rid of Kimmel, and the voice of the people as well. I'll say what you will. Okay. All right. What somebody says his contract was ending soon. Doesn't matter about that. They would have renewed him. If Biden was still in, they would have renewed him. Now, he was propaganda. He was a deep state plant in there on purpose. No question about it. Bought and paid for. The guy is a coward. He's a weasel. Okay. He has to sneak out of it. Listen, he doesn't live in the real world. Okay. You and I both know that. You know, he's got to sneak out of there like a coward. I even heard before I came on the air, he kind of tricked people with a body double, and which is not surprising, and with some misdirection because he didn't want to face the media. So, again, he'll probably be back on the air. These idiots, like I was talking about, like Don Lemon, and the other ones, like at MSNBC, Joy Behar, or whatever her name, not Joy Behar, Joy Reid. And they immediately, as soon as they get let go or they don't get their contracts renewed and they're left, the network says, okay, thanks, but no thanks. Look at Cuomo as well from CNN. They all got to run to a microphone right away. They want to do exactly what guys like me are doing, folks like me are doing. Because my personal opinion is because it has a lot to do with ego and pride. See, Jimmy Kimmel right now, he can just probably retire with all the cash he has and not look back and go and not even reinvent himself. Go live out the rest of your days and shut up, go be with your family or whatever, and be the pissed off liberal that you are. But he'll be back. It's my opinion. He won't be able to, because he is probably the one person that I noticed every time he would do shots at Trump or MAGA, if you will. He enjoyed it. And he was probably the one the most out of everybody that we've been discussing who thoroughly enjoyed it. Matter of fact, he got off on it. You can tell. You can really tell. As a matter of fact, it pisses him off when we win, when something goes our way. I don't even know if he put out a statement yet or not regarding that. So Josh is in the comments. He says, supposedly Kimmel's ratings, according to the NYP, that's the New York Post, have been plummeting for a long time. He put the cherry on top for us and got himself canceled. So that's exactly what happened. Wanda's in the comments. She said Chris Cuomo is on the CW. He's on the CW now. I didn't know that. He's been jumping all over. When Cuomo got canned from CNN, I remember him setting up a studio, kind of like mine, if you will, but a little more elaborate because he has deep pockets, I guess. And he did it in his home, and I guess that didn't work out. And these, look at Cuomo, look at Kimmel, look at Don Lemon. These are egomaniacs. Okay. These are people who want to look at me, listen to what I have to say, people. All right. So Kimmel will be back on here in a different format, maybe not on a network. But again, we have to hold all these stations accountable still. It doesn't mean we should be forgiving them. I do not trust ABC whatsoever. They can come on tomorrow night, which they are going to, and tomorrow, Friday night, they're putting on a Charlie Kirk episode, a memorial remembrance or something like that, whatever they're cutting together. So I'm sure their producers are having it done and put together and going to be ready to go by tomorrow night. It's going to air in the slot of the Jimmy Kimmel Show tomorrow night. So I will watch that. And I'm going to predict right now, it's probably going to be amazing. I have a feeling, okay, because they're trying to save themselves right now. Now, if they're smart, they're going to do the right thing, and they're going to continue to try and do the right thing. And you just heard Brendan Carr talk about investigating The View now. All right. So is Donald Trump the one behind all of this happening? I have to be honest here. I'm going to say probably so. I'm not going to lie. It was probably more of a, again, people the left right now screaming First Amendment, free speech. They're so full of crap. Okay, and we could sit here all night and talk about how you and I have been suspended a number of times. Me personally, 91 times. I'm on my 92nd of Facebook account. 91 times permanently suspended. Jumped through hoops for years to try and maintain a presence out there on Facebook. And it hurt every single time I got taken down because I lost part of my livelihood. And millions of people who did have a livelihood when it came to Facebook right around the COVID days lost their livelihoods. I heard so many stories how they lost their income because of we just wanted to post about Hunter Biden or COVID lies, and we all got taken down. President Trump gets taken down for January 6th from Twitter, from the old regime of Jack Dorsey. All right. And then they laughed and laughed and laughed every single time. I never heard nothing about freedom of speech, First Amendment. They didn't care. Look, I'm all about law and order. I really am, because I get it. We can't stoop to certain levels. All right. Have to be smart about things. But it's just like, as we'll get into Antifa shortly, Donald Trump talking about Antifa burning the flag. Hence, he puts in a executive order about burning the flag now, and you get so much time in prison. But it has to be under certain circumstances. Okay. And the reason he has to draw that up is because the deep state for years have been, as we were asleep, and let's face it, all of us were asleep at the wheel. Okay, we can admit that. We were asleep at the wheel, and this is why we got into this terrible position that we did. And we've been working very hard for years, and we're doing a wonderful job. But we were asleep at the wheel, and I just, again, like I said, if I go back a second here, Donald Trump, again, probably had a lot to do with it, with Jimmy Kimmel's firing. But being asleep at the wheel, we got to put these things into place. And because the deep state finds these loopholes to get away with this stuff, just like they're screaming about Kimmel and free speech tonight. There's a lot of, like, I've been posting FCC guidelines. There are things there. And I don't think I posted it to Facebook. I said, walk into your boss's office today. Walk into your boss's office, call him a no good son of a bitch, laugh at him, spit in his face. Okay. And tell him, and when he says you're fired, say you can't fire me because that is freedom of speech. Let me know how that works out for you. It's really the same thing with Kimmel. He's employed and he didn't live up to his job and they finally fired him. So it's all smoke and mirrors. They're a bunch of screaming crybabies. And personally, right now, I'm glad that we're finally rolling up the sleeves, because I am sick and tired, all right, of people in Congress who have no spine. They have no backbone. It's good to see someone like President Trump, a Brendan Carr, even though technically this was all Next Star and ABC, Disney's doing to fire Kimmel. I'm not the world's brightest man, but I'm not stupid either. Okay. And I'm sure there were phone calls made, and Trump's in England yesterday. He's dining with the king, and Brendan Carr. So Trump knew this was coming. I know he knew this was coming. It's just, they'll deny it, but I know they knew. I'm sure Brendan Carr, it was bigger than just the Benny Johnson interview. I'm sure some phone calls were made to the appropriate higher ups at these networks. Say, look, you better do something about it. This is a warning. This is your opportunity now before we take it into our own hands. That's my thinking. Okay. And which it should be that way. It should be that way because there are FCC guidelines when it comes to the situation with Kimmel yesterday. And I know we are in uncharted water and we don't see that this much, okay? But we have seen it a lot. If you really want to think about it, we've seen a lot of people let go and fired. And I believe Jesse Waters, I wasn't watching, but I had it on in the background. I was listening. And I think when he was on the 5 today, he was talking about, what was he talking about? He said something about a lot of people in the workplace get fired, whether it's even sexual harassment or whatever, at these network stations, whether it's ABC, CNN. It's no different than Jimmy Kimmel just because he's on your television set every night. So we'll see. Hopefully that again, I've just played that clip of Brendan Carr talking about The View being investigated next. So hopefully they go after The View. These are very dangerous programs. Okay. When it comes to programs like The View, Jimmy Kimmel, okay, and now, of course, do you really think it's a coincidence that Stephen Colbert gone, Jimmy Kimmel gone, certain personalities already gone from MSNBC and CNN? I don't think it's a coincidence. Okay, I think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. I think this has to do with a brass set of balls from our president, the man who we put in the White House. There are things that we just don't need to know. And I'm very cool with that. As long as you're getting the job done. This is what we voted for. All right. So, again, props to Benny Johnson. Yesterday, it was a great interview with Brendan Carr, and it's wonderful to see. It's a very exciting time to be alive right now. So now I want to transition into, it's been a week and a day. So it's been 8 days since the tragic situation. Oh, I forgot to see that on there of Benny Johnson. I mean, Charlie Kirk. I'm thinking of Benny. I was just talking about him. I won't say that. Of Charlie Kirk. Since it's been a week, I tell you what I'd like to do before I go forward. Let's go to the comments now. I am curious to know right now how you guys are feeling. And you're going to get a chance to ask questions. I'm going to pivot in here into a couple things that are all over the internet, which I'm well aware of from day one. And we're going to touch on those things, if you will. But I want to hear from you. How are you guys doing? It's been a week and a day since. I have pretty much, it was very emotional the day of when I was broadcasting. And I'll never forget announcing his death. I was emotional. It was a stir of emotions because I haven't felt that way since the passing of my wife a few years ago. And it kind of hit me all at once. So it was quite a bit. But now everybody's watching replays. TikTok is flooded. It's just blowing up everywhere about Charlie Kirk. One thing I can say, it's been wonderful to see people, even especially young people, but to see all kinds of ages of people picking up a Bible for the first time, turning to God, getting rid of going away from the Democratic Party. I'm seeing countless videos, one after the other. Okay. Let's go to your comments. Charlie Kirk and I went to the same high school, different times. Devastating. Okay. Joshua says my 10-year-old has been sad. She knows I've been sad rewatching Charlie reels, sharing a lot of them with her. She agrees a lot with him. She has kept asking for updates about the investigation. Yeah. Still feeling sadness. Absolutely. Loved Yeah, I remember that. Gutfield telling Jessica the truth about her left narrative. That was good. I just want the truth. I'm going to touch on that, okay, in a moment. God has truly taken a terrible incident and used it for good. I agree with you there. I really agree with you there. As a matter of fact, I've seen how to word this. It's like a JFK moment, as I posted yesterday, for this generation, the youth. This is a JFK moment for them. So, I'm okay with rejoicing that so many are turning to Lord, to Christ. Still walking around in deep shock. I was in Spain watching your live feed, Bruce. I couldn't believe it. Praying. Yeah. Saw people are planting blueberry bushes in honor of Charlie. Is truly a great awakening. I think it's going to be a long time before we get to truth. I have felt very sad as Charlie is a hero for my teen sons. I'm hearing that a lot. I've had a friend ask to join me for church this week. See, I've been seeing that a lot as well. A lot of people are going to church for the first time. I heard a lot of stories of all over the country, people who go to church every Sunday saying it was a bigger crowd than usual, for the most part. So that's good. That's real good. That means you guys have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do now. The work's just getting started. So what's important, and here I'm going to sound like I'm preachy, but I'm just going to talk about my experience, okay? What's important now is to keep that flame going, okay? Because you and I both know that the flame will fizzle, all right? It's been a week and a day. A lot of people are, excited for the Lord, want to get back in, and that's absolutely amazing. It's wonderful. Matter of fact, I don't even recall in my lifetime seeing such a collective of people feeling all the same way. It's truly divine. But it's up to all of us to be there for these folks who are walking into the church scared, uncomfortable, don't know why they're there. But the most important thing is, it's just like me when I talk about my recovery story. Anybody in recovery, for example, as well, same thing. Walking in that door for the first time, you feel really out of place. You want to feel welcome. So it's up to us to make these folks feel welcome, make them feel a part of. Okay. Get involved more than just being there for that hour on church and Sunday. Invite them to get together, go have lunch, go have coffee, whatever it is that you like to do. Make them feel welcome. This is how it works. Because I know when I was in my deep and darkest moments, I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I still remember every single time somebody put their hand out to help me and make me feel welcome. I'll never forget it. Those are so important, and they'll stick with somebody for the rest of their lives. So much exposure of evil after Charlie's death. Yeah, that was a good one. Enjoyed Diesel for Charlie you posted. Yeah, it was a pretty cool song. Really good, really touching. God is using Charlie Kirk's death for his glory. Amen. What they meant for evil is being used to open eyes worldwide. It's beautiful to see an answered prayer. Still brokenhearted for Charlie. It hit me like I knew him. Yeah, you know what? I hear that a lot as well. And sorry if I'm drinking more from my water cup here tonight. I got dry mouth. There was an incident yesterday here on this side of the screen. Good old Bruce almost ended up in the hospital. I had a new medication reaction. Oh boy, it was rough on this side of the screen yesterday, but I'm much better now. But I noticed I've got cotton mouth. Can't get over it. Anyways, but yeah, still brokenhearted for Charlie. It hit me like I knew him. A lot of people are saying that, and people have been saying I don't even know him, never met him, but I'm taking it so personal. Well, to me, sure, they've seen the images, the horrifying images of that gunshot. But at the same time, I think it's a combination of things. It's a boiling point of enough's enough. Seeing a line crossed, knowing that, okay, this is coming from people are waking up seeing this is coming from the propaganda. But also this is divine as well. Oh yeah, and Charlie Kirk's. Oh yeah, that's it's right here. Let me grab that image. This was announced a little while ago today. It's going to be on his birthday, October 14th. Charlie's birthday, National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. So that's really nice. Yeah, I've had people in my comments. They're not my typical followers, but there are people, from the outside, mostly. And people have been saying, and even private messages, enough talking about Charlie anymore. And these are just hateful people. That's all that it is. And this is only getting started, Our Seattle pastor knew Charlie such an emotional sermon on Sunday. Let's see. Okay, let's go to this. I don't know what I'm getting into. I'm reading it now. How do you know if you're getting in the right type of church? And I want to go, but I'm afraid I'm going to get some kind of left-wing nut. You know what? Here's what I say. All right. I don't know what denomination we're talking about, whether it's Catholic or even non-denominational. You can get into a non-denominational church if you want. It depends where you live. I don't know if you're like me. I'm more I'm a suburb of a big city. Some people are more rural, but it just depends where you live. And if you don't like the church you're at, try another church. My motto is get in where you fit in. Okay. The same thing when in the world of recovery, which I talk about often. I don't like this meeting, go to a different one. Find my niche, find where I'm comfortable, and find where I fit in. You'll eventually get it. And it's part of that spiritual journey as well. We are the body of Christ. Never in my 62 years have I seen so many grown men crying openly. I've seen a lot of men crying. I cried on the air on the day of. And I've seen quite a few TikTok videos of men breaking down crying. And it's beautiful. Even though it was tragic, I just knew it's also God. It's divine. Okay. Yes, hit that. There you go. Right in the middle of all this. Hit that thumbs up. Thank you. All right. So that's good to know. So I'm going to go ahead and go forward now. So I'm going to touch on some things. What time is it? Okay. It's already 8 o'clock. All right. So I'm going to turn the chat on as well. So people have, now that it's just a tad over a week, people have reached out to me a lot. And let me just put a a disclaimer over this before I go forward. I am nowhere near the Q expert. Okay, even though I've shared Q from time to time over the years, had some podcasts, we would talk about it. I've always said there are a lot of people out there who are really good at doing the decodes and all that out there. I've talked about discernment. All right. And so hold your questions because I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'll get to the chat momentarily, but I just need to focus here and say what I need to say. I need to turn that off. The Q drops are quite interesting to put out, especially when they hit. When, for example, like when POTUS would post and would match to Truth Social regarding a timestamp or something directly, or Scavino. All right. And that's quite exciting. Now, even though when I would share them, every show I've ever come on here, I've always said, I've said it even in a post. Normally, people want to know, what does it mean right away? And I says 99.9% of the time, we don't know. Because these are what we've been taught. They're breadcrumbs. And usually they're kind of like a little heads up, being ahead of the game for something that's going to happen in the very near future. And these Q drops that you're looking at now, but you have no idea where this is headed, will make much more sense later on. And it's kind of a map, if you will, putting together a puzzle. Being in the loop, okay? There are many, many, many times that I don't share Q drops. Matter of fact, the majority of the time I don't share. It's on a smaller scale that I share because I use them for me only. There's no reason for me to put out every single communication that's out there, and because people will get lost. I get lost too. So at the same time, I would just sit on those and never put them out publicly. And I know a lot of people put out every little single detail. It's also gotten to a point I've noticed that the people who are the people who are not the usual folks who have a consistency over the years of putting out Q, people are jumping on the bandwagon and they're just throwing anything out there, and it has no match whatsoever, and it's become very haphazard, just getting out there. And I've noticed that for quite a long time, and I stay away from all that stuff. I only concentrate on what there's a few handful of folks who I follow all the time, who I like what they do, and try and put some dots. We're trying to connect dots is what we're doing. I've taken a lot of heat. I've had people unfriend me recently since Charlie's passing, his death, tragic death. They have skipped out on me. I've been called some names. These are coming from you because I haven't jumped on the bandwagon. I haven't said this is all staged and fake. That's what they want. They're disappointed in me because I was consistent and good. Now all of a sudden I've taken a back seat. I'll tell you why I've taken a back seat. Because I think it's irresponsible to start throwing out all of this stuff right now and saying this is staged and fake. But Bruce, it says the shot heard around the world. That doesn't mean that was this. You know, most of us do believe the shot heard around the world being a red carpet event was the day Donald Trump was grazed in the ear with that bullet, and he was on a red carpet that day. a lot connected that day, and it made sense that that was the event. My discernment, my spiritual foundation. This is my spiritual foundation and my discernment. Everything in my being told me, don't do it. Stay away from it. I looked at him. Don't get me wrong. I looked at him. But I can't get past what I witnessed. And I've been called. I'll be called names after this again, because I can't get past what I witnessed seeing that execution of Charlie Kirk. I know what's out there. And I know a lot of people are saying it's fake. He was wearing a blood pack and it was AI. It's just bonkers what is out there. It is madness, and people are getting themselves so deep down this rabbit hole, and I'm going to get blamed. We're supposed to question everything. Of course you're supposed to question everything, but you have to be respectful and responsible, and the bottom line is you don't have to put it out publicly. Do it behind the scenes, because I guarantee you, look, where I stand right now, okay, this was 100% real. And I have people who hate me for that right now. If it is proven down the road that we are all had, I'll be the first to admit you got it. You were right. No problem. I'm man enough to do that. But here's the problem I have with this. The haphazardness of throwing all this stuff out there in a time of mourning. And if this is indeed real, as I believe it is, what are you doing? You're not helping the situation whatsoever. I'm the first person as well. I want to know the Q drops. I want to know what's going on. Okay. But at the same time, my spiritual discernment, I'm not even looking at your comments right now. I don't see them. So I would save them until I go there. If there's something you want me to see, because if you said it, I'm not going to see it. But everything in my being, my spiritual being, my discernment, God is telling me that what I witnessed was indeed real. It was a tragedy, and I'm going to make God is doing what he's doing, everything we talked about right now. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, I'm going to lose people because I don't want to jump on the bandwagon, because I'm not a follower. Okay. I don't follow, and I will never be a part of the in crowd. I've learned my lesson over life and gained wisdom, and I've learned from that mistake. I am my own person, and if you like what I put out and you value what I put out, then you'll follow me. We can agree to disagree. That is no problem. But it doesn't mean you need to go off the deep end on me. Look, I'm taking a back seat to all this. I'm doing it out of respect, because I don't need to add to all this that is going on out there. I could sit here. I know. You know, when President Bukele put out Buckle Up Buttercups on Monday, the Monday before, and I know the things that were posted, and yes, it does get my attention, no question about it. And yes, I have taken time to go through those and think about it. Watch the video over and over again. Think about, is it possible? I have entertained all that. And I'll be honest with you, I have not come up with a conclusion, but I've come up with a stance right now where I stand. And right now I stand to treat this as we lost a great human being, and that God is going to glorify him. So I'm not going to add to that. Transitioning now. Okay. And I'll go to your comments. Like I said, I don't even see them. I turned them off on my end. Transitioning right now. Going into Candace Owens. People have been messaging me about Candace Owens. I have seen some of it. Okay. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of points. I have seen some of it. I know what she's sharing. And this is a great segue for me to go into Antifa. That Antifa thing is where I stand strong with right now, and the Q drops. Okay. We can sit here and easily, I just, to be honest with you, I don't want to waste a lot of my energy. That's me. People are going to do what they're going to do. It's none of my business. All right. But I don't want to waste energy like this is the JFK assassination and put all my eggs in the basket right now and be completely diverted from a bigger picture. Now, if something nefarious is going on, if there is another shooter, I know that's entertained. Um, I'm kind of with you guys with the text messages that were put out. Yes, I see red flags, just like you do. Okay. But right now, I'm not jumping into that deep hole. I'm taking a step back and I'm observing many things and I'm being cautious and reserved about it. That's where I stand right now. So, for those of you who may be listening right now, call me a few choice names and said, you know, what happened? I've been accused. What happened to me? I just clammed up or whatever. No, I just decided to be quiet about it because I didn't find it responsible or necessary to publicly start throwing all this stuff out there. I decided to do it behind the scenes and come to my own conclusion. And a lot of times, too, if something is going on, well, we're not going to, I guarantee you dig and dig all you want. We're not going to figure it out. You're not. Nobody out here is going to figure that out. It'll be revealed at the right time and place. But right now, it hasn't. Just like, for example, and I know look, I'm not trying, I don't want to lose my audience because I know a lot of you cling to this stuff. And I'm with you. There's a lot of stuff that I have questions about and we need because they lied to us for years. But when I do an inventory and look back on certain things from the very beginning, none of it's come to pass. Yes, I know future proofs past. Okay. And yes, it makes sense that things are happening now and they are happening. So it's making a lot of sense because we haven't even gotten to the arrest yet. And those will come. I promise you that's going to happen. We all know that's going to happen. We're just antsy about that. It's been such a long time coming. But if you look at the big picture right now, look at everything that's happening, the way things are the way the Trump administration is putting everything in place and the things that they're doing first, the moves that they're making first that lead up to things like getting rid of Jimmy Kimmel, redoing an entire network, getting rid of people, getting rid of fraud and waste, putting the deep state in the corner, which they have. Okay. But, as far as the Candace Owens thing, I'm also staying out of that. I'm not going on my page. I'm going to go on an anti-Israel rant. Okay. But I'm not stupid. Okay. I'm not a fool. I think this is bigger than we're led to believe. There are some good points raised. I agree with some. I agree. I'm open-minded. My mind is open. I'm willing to listen and I'm willing to entertain many things. I've entertained many things from Candace Owens and I've listened to both sides. I've heard Matt Gaetz chime in. Okay. I went down the whole road with Bill Ackman and pressuring Charlie Kirk, what he was up against, the money that apparently that Israel threw at Charlie Kirk just prior, and he turned it down. I'm well aware of all that. And it's believable. Very believable. But does that connect to the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Now, most people will say, well, it could very well be, and I'm with you in that boat. It could very well be. But we just don't know that because it's so early right now. And it's nothing wrong with going down like that road that Candace is going down and looking at these things and researching that and reading into it. And I'm comfortable talking about this right now. Okay. Because if you were with me on October 7th, if you joined my broadcast that I was on the air for like 6 hours straight, and I covered the October 7th terrorist attack, okay, from Hamas into Israel. I said live on that air that day, okay, that somebody behind, with Israel is responsible for this. Because there's no way in the world that they could have let their guard down with the most secure border in the world. And just all of a sudden, these paratroopers are going to come in and everything else. I absolutely believe that was an inside job from the government. Who and why, we still don't know. I'm not an anti-Semite. Yes, I'm a Christian too. There's a lot of things you got to balance, but this has to do with deep state government. It's government, not God's people, the government. All right. And before I should probably stop myself here because I don't want to go too deep into that right now, because it's still pretty premature. I'm only just speaking my mind right now, and I'm not even looking at a single comment or anything like that. I'm just speaking my mind. So again, the Q stuff that's being put out that Charlie's death was fake, I am on the reservation list, and I'm taking a back seat to all that. And I don't think I'm going to add anything to the atmosphere out here by putting that out there. As a matter of fact, I'm not even there to do that. That's where I'm at right now. And I've spoken my mind. I'm open to foreign interference. And now let's transition. I promise I'm going to your comments. Let me finish up my points here, okay? So whatever comments have been putting out, I have not seen them. Now, speaking of foreign interference, all right? And now people are talking about, paying attention to what Candace is saying and messaging me and all about Israel. And all of a sudden, and I post yesterday before POTUS even makes an announcement. It was early in the day, I believe. I posted about Antifa. Because I knew right away, here's where I went, and I'll clue y'all in. I saw a 22-year-old kid. As soon as the dust started to settle and pieces started coming together, and I started to collectively think about this 22-year-old kid, I have access to something too, okay? What I have access to is a young 20-year-old son as well, in his 20s, who is also grown up in the generation of gaming. So when I have a question, I go to my son and I ask him about that, because my big interest is backdoor channels, back rooms of the internet with gaming. That is the flag that came up for me immediately. Then I started thinking, okay, before the trans boyfriend thing came out and everything else. But when the pieces started coming together, I started thinking indoctrination, 22-year-old, where does he live? White kid, etc. All right, go to the Q drops. Are we possibly looking at a connection to Antifa because of and those organizations with foreign influence, with foreign money? This is why Donald Trump came on the air, and I'll play his clip in a minute, came on the air and talked about going after the money. We're talking RICO charges. And sure, you could say a name like George Soros, but I'm sure it's a lot more. Matter of fact, I'm going to play that clip right now. Listen to President Trump. Let me move Charlie. Let's listen to President Trump's words earlier tonight.
Agitators.
Who are they?
Well,
and where's the money coming from? Is it foreign entities?
Yeah, you're going to find out, and we're going to find out in great detail. And it surprised me that Biden wouldn't have done it, because it really became hot over the last 3-4 years. It surprised me that Biden wouldn't do it. But then as I got to know him, first of all, he didn't call the shots. He wasn't calling the shots. But as we got to see what was happening in Biden's group, Antifa plays perfectly for them, absolutely perfectly. But it's a terrorist organization, in my opinion, and we're going to find out. All those questions are going to be answered.
Okay, so you just heard President Trump tell the world, we are going to find out. And when he says that right there, go to the Q drops. It is there. Boom, boom, boom. One after the other. Just put in Antifa. And there will be connections talking about foreign money, where not necessarily because Q asked a lot of questions, short statements, a couple words, and they put just enough out there as in breadcrumbs for you to do some research. This is the train that I'm on. This is the train that I'm very comfortable being on right now. Okay. I am not comfortable being on. It was staged. It was faked. Okay. I'm okay with entertaining Israel with possibility of some nefarious things. But I have to accept the fact that may not have been the case. I'm taking a backseat approach because what is happening right now this minute? I just played that clip for you. And the president of the United States just told us we are going to find out. That right there is going to give me everything that I need. Yes, I have my hunch. I have a speculation of what is coming down the pipeline. Okay. And I think it's bigger than just George Soros. I know that's the name and the face that's easy just to throw out there, and we talk about it, and rightfully so. But I think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. If you go back and look at things, all right, I've said it on this podcast before. I think this is a continuation of World War II. World War II has never ended. It was just paused. And then there was silence. And then what happened? They infiltrated every organization. Call it the deep state. Call it what you will. They disguised wokeism, LGBTQ, Black Lives Matters. That was smoke and mirrors in the form of fascism. Because Antifa is a psychological play on words, meaning we're anti-fascist. And there are people out there in the comment sections who are defending Antifa because Trump just put that announcement out about deeming them a terrorist organization and saying Trump's an idiot and all this other stuff. We're all idiots. This is anti-fascist. That is the propaganda. Okay. This is Yuri Bezmenov from 1984, former Russian KGB agent who warned us how to take over an entire country. That is the real stuff that is going on behind the scenes. You better believe it that there are people who stay out of the limelight. They try to stay out of the limelight when it is a Soros or other people we don't know their names and faces quite well. But they are neo-fascist Nazis. This is why Q put the sum of all fears. Not just some of the shows I've had talking about the possibility of a nuclear scare event, but the sum of all fears. If you go back to the movie, neo-Nazis put Russia and the United States on a collision course. And that's exactly what they've been doing for a very long time. They've not only done that, they have also infiltrated the United States government in every single faucet, every single area. That is the truth. And then when it comes to this kid who was probably, indoctrinated, brainwashed very easily, I buy that right now. No question about that. I mean, look at the kid's family. It's somewhere something went wrong. They got to him. Now, we have no idea if foreign money influence entertained the kid with sex and drugs and whatever else. I have no idea if there's money in his bank account. And at the same time, too, how do we know that they didn't threaten his family if he talked? Because they said he turned himself in, but he's not talking. When I hear that, I'm thinking that is possibly foreign influence, knowing that they can go after his family, and that's why he's not talking. These are just things that I don't 100% know, and none of us do, but these are things that are making sense to me. As each day goes on and things unfold, I can start putting the puzzle together. And this is why I'm taking a reserved approach about things and not just throwing out every Q drop and saying, this is what's going on, and how dare I not get on the bandwagon. because some things are meant to sit back and wait and just look at it for yourself behind the scenes. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm glad I got that out in the open. I'm glad we talked about Q, the possibility of it being fake, Candace Owens, Israel, and Antifa. That's the story right now, and we need to keep a good eye on that, because that's where I am also focused. There are many things going on, as there always is many things going on. But I'm going to keep a close eye on that, because here's why. And I don't brag on this show, and I never do, but I will a little bit, because I am right about something, because I knew I was onto something when I started talking about Antifa. Before I publicly posted anything about Antifa, which was the first time, I believe, yesterday, I kept saying it off screen, off public social media posts, and talking about it with some people here. I'm like, I'm telling you, we're going to get into Antifa, all that stuff. All right. And here it is. It's happening. So let's keep an open mind about this. Let's see where this goes. All right. So I want to go to your comments now. I said a lot. Now I'm going to turn them on. Back on. All right. So there we go. So you may have said something during my talk about Q, whether it's staged, shot heard around the world, Candace Owens, Israel. Now you might want to say it again or repeat it again. This is your opportunity. I'll be more than glad to entertain that. So I would like to say this while I'm waiting for some things, some questions and some comments to come across here. I will say this. I think we need to agree to disagree, because I'm noticing a division in this particular side. I'm seeing a division in this particular side simply because people are putting stuff out about it all being fake and offending a lot of people. I'm not talking about division when it comes left and right. I'm talking about a division in the group of MAGA, if you will, right now. Throw in Q, if you will, whatever you want to call it. There's a division there, folks. We need to pull back a little bit, and we need to unite. It's okay. You know what? Me, I got thick skin. I can honestly care less. I'm in a care less attitude. It's not a reckless care less. It's a confident, I can care less about certain things when people say my way. All right. So I need to do something here live on the air. I'm seeing breaking news on my wire about a shooting. Let me pause the show. I'm going to stay live on the air. Let me see what's going on. All I see is shooter, North Carolina. Is this something real, or is this just I don't mean to be dismissive about a shooting, but there are so many shootings. I don't even report on them. The majority, 95% of them anymore. Okay, I've got the University of North Carolina, Wilmington is on lockdowns after a report that a possible gunman was spotted. Okay, so there's something going on at UNC, it looks like, in Wilmington. Okay, all right, let's do this. Yeah, let me do this. So since we're on the air, let me share the screen. Okay. Was it Wilmington? Is it WIL? I spelled that wrong. North Carolina. Let's go get rid of that. So this is pretty much just breaking right now. Let's go to latest. Around the evening, eyewitnesses accounts circulated describing a man in green top and blue jeans allegedly armed with a weapon seen on near the campus grounds. Okay, so this is fresh. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll look at it when I get off the air. That's Raw's alert. Let me get a Raw's. Let me check that out. They're pretty decent. Oh, I didn't know I had. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even put that on your screen. I'm talking to you. I apologize. All right. So I'm looking right now, and Wilmington is on lockdown 18 minutes ago. A possible gunman at this time. Sirens are currently blaring in the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, as campus officials issue an emergency alert urging all students and staff to shelter in place. The warning comes after reports of a possible gunman on campus was spotted. A video taken from a nearby parking lot. Okay. All right. So I could probably do this. Let me do this. That's not going to happen. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to your comments. I'll have to go back to that and get more information. It's kind of hard to do when I'm on the air, but I didn't see anything where I should stop the show completely and focus on that, but I will keep up with it. Okay. All right. Let me go back to your comments. Yeah, you're all talking about that right now. So let me get back to that. I may have missed it because I got interrupted with that, which is fine. You guys did the right thing. This is what I do. This is what I'm here for. So again, is there any questions, anything you want to ask when it comes to that? What we talked about with what people are putting out there with Q, I'll be more than glad to answer as best as I can. And I hope that you understand where my stance is, and how I feel. I'm sensitive to the environment that's out here. It's so raw and so fresh still, Charlie's death, that I just don't want to add anything to it that is irresponsible. I'll just say that. And again, it has nothing to do with not doing your research or digging. So, and questioning everything, because you'll get that twisted. And I'm not saying that, but be careful too, because there's some folks out here with accounts that all they've done since last week, Wednesday, have posted 24/7 conspiracy after conspiracy, and it's crazy out of hand. So I'm just gonna look at the things I need to look at behind the screen and pay attention to everything. Just, yeah, absolutely. Considering, no, I'm not saying it's not real. I'm 100% on the fence right now that what we saw was actually real. I'm just not comfortable going down that road. I talked about the shot heard around the world. I don't see the connection. I think a real world situation happened, and they're using the shot heard around the world, because that's a big one, to Charlie's, justifying it to using it to Charlie's death. I still think it was Trump's shooting that was that particular Q drop, because a lot matched to that particular day. And again, I'd be more than glad to come on here one day. It says it was all staged, it was all fake. I'll come on here. You were right. I was wrong. And I took the cowardly approach, I guess. So right now I'm taking the responsible approach. And yes, it can be very overwhelming. I've had a lot of people message me, and I just told somebody today, I said, may I be frank with you? And may I be straight with you? And they said yes. And exactly what I told them, I said, do yourself a favor. There's nothing wrong with researching and questioning things, but don't stay down that rabbit hole. Get out of there, because it will turn into a neurological tornado. Your mind will just be, and you'll be seeing and believing stuff. It'll drive you insane. And the next thing you know, you won't be making any sense. So I'm just saying, be very careful. Nothing wrong with looking at it, questioning it, and observing it, but be careful how deep you go. Maybe some things just take time, and we have to accept the fact that things need to play out first before we even entertain what's going on out there on this internet right now. That's just me. Yeah, I know. Somebody said that Charlie and George Floyd share the same birthday. See, again, here's an example right here. Okay. This is why it's so easy. It is so easy. Again, I am not trying to, I'm a different breed. I am not trying to, I told everybody from day one, if you're new here, I've said it for years. I don't do dead people. I don't do people who are wearing masks. I don't do people who are in Gitmo and they're already on trial and they've been executed. I don't do that. I know it's out there. It's out there in a lot of places. I don't need to do that. I like evidence. I'm open-minded to the possibility, because of Q and future proofs past, but I don't do those things. How that started on this internet, that everybody's in Gitmo locked up and executed and everybody's wearing a mask, is beyond me. I don't see anything that tells me I'm supposed to believe that. So that's just me. You come here for truth, and I'm going to stick with truth. And if I'm reserved about certain things, that's because I like facts. And so, like a comment like this, understandable. But for me, I have done some research into how to manipulate things into a conspiracy theory. And when people take things like timestamps and numbers, they're so easy to manipulate and put out there in the internet land that it's connected in a way to being truth to a grander conspiracy. That's why it's difficult sometimes. That's why I only share Q drops if it's coming from Dan or President Trump 90% of the time, because they can be trusted. Anybody else, I don't go down that road. It is so easy. And I've seen this. And now with AI and everything else, I could probably go on Chat GBT right now. Give them something like that on your screen. Throw in some Q drops, timestamps, and everything else, and it'll probably put together this master perfect presentation that I could probably put out there, and would be complete bullshit, but it would be very believable. This is who I am, and I just take my time on things, and I'm very cautious. And if my reservations are going to backfire on me for not being a part and in the game, so be it. And I'm not picking on you at all. That's quite interesting that both of their birthdays are on the same day. I already talked about Candace Owens. You have to go back and rewatch it. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate that. And there you go. Somebody said what I just talked about happened to me in 2020. I had to take about 5 steps back. That rabbit hole will destroy you. And right now, it is hot and heavy with what happened last Wednesday with Charlie. Just be careful out there is all I'm saying. Just be careful. As a matter of fact, I think I just gave myself an idea. I think that's a great idea. That thought I just came up with, that idea. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to take Chat GBT. I'm going to take some recent conspiracies with numbers, feed it to Chat GBT and the AI, and see what it can polish up for me. I'd like to do that. I'm not going to put it out as a way of this is truth. I'm going to put it out as a research story because I think that would be very interesting. Do I think people get, well, yeah, that's part of it too. Do you think people can't comprehend what they witnessed on TV, so they go down the rabbit hole? Look at what we saw happen on, well, the internet, TV, whatever you want to call it. Something we don't see every day. Now, I've seen a lot of I have a lot of stuff in a folder with Ukraine killings and Russia, Ukraine, and other wars, Israel and Gaza and Hamas and all that stuff. I've seen some very terrible stuff. But it's something strange about this one. It just hit in a way that I even felt it. Now, I'm already a believer, okay, but I even felt some more of a presence of God, if you will. And after hearing everybody who are not believers posting all over the place about they're feeling it, they didn't even know Charlie. I'm picking up a Bible. It's like, okay, Bruce, this is real divine intervention here. This is not some sort of fake thing. Right? And that's the only explanation for it for me. You know, let's go back to your comments. Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if you're new, I don't do any of that stuff. I've never entertained any of that. This person's in a mask. These people are dead. They're in Gitmo. Oh, they've already been executed. That is complete irresponsibility. I mean, to even post that, how does one post that when not even knowing? You're just throwing it out there. I mean, why? Because somebody else said it? Look, I'm really not picking on you. I mean that sincerely. I just feel bad when people do that because you're being lied to. You're being manipulated. And there are accounts out here, and there's some big accounts out here, folks. I'm not going there. There are some big accounts out here who are full of crap, and they are BSing you. And I'm not going to burst your bubble. Some of you who follow me long enough know, but they're full of it. They are so full of it. I'll say this much. I treat my followers and my friends on social media with respect because I truly am that type of person. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's a big deal. I've said it before. Your caution is why we trust you and remain following you. This is who I want following me. I know it sucks. We have waited for years. I know I'm with you, folks. I'm ready for these arrests. You know how many times I wanted to go to social media and say, please arrest somebody? I have. But I don't because I'm like, all right, if you people follow me, I just don't want to, bring anybody down. But I know they're coming, but just not on our timetable. So we're close. Let's see. Yeah. So there you go. What about the book that was written about his death put out the day before on Amazon? Complete scam. All right. That is easily done. When the Hawaii fires happened, the same thing happened. If you can recall, remember when Hawaii burned? And then all of a sudden, like, hey, this book's on Amazon. It predicted the Hawaii fires. Well, it caught my attention. I'm like, I got to dig into this. This is not possible. And sure enough, and I've already posted on every one of my platforms a breakdown of how this works. You can manipulate that. There is no prophecy. There is no higher agenda, hidden agenda. You can manipulate that, and you can change your cover and your title where it can go back a day. It's like I could probably have a book. I could have a book ready to go tonight on Amazon with Kindle, okay, which would be dated the 18th. And tomorrow on the 19th, okay, let's say tomorrow on the 19th, a meteor crashes on Earth and it wipes out China. I'm not wishing that. I can backtrack into the 18th. Tomorrow, I can do it because the date is already the 18th that I've uploaded it tonight. And a lot of people do that. They get one the day before and they could change it too. And they can manipulate that, change the title, change the name, and then they could say in a few days, this book will be ready for release, even though it's got a date that they somehow predicted it the day before. The reason they need to wait a few days before they release the book, because it takes a few days with Amazon to go through. But they scammed you into believing they predicted it because they knew the day before. Yeah, I'm onto that one. And then I saw it all over the internet. Everybody was eating it up with a spoon. I'm like, oh, and I can't go out there and tell everybody, but I posted it to my page and said, here's a breakdown. Here's a screenshot. Here's step by step how it happens and what you saw. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, there are a lot of vigils for Charlie going on. There's another one happening here in Strongsville, Ohio. Medina just had one. I'm in Ohio in the Cleveland area. Strongsville, Ohio had one. And they're all on Sunday night. Sunday night's the actual one that's being televised from Arizona, from the stadium. And I believe I will probably cover that. I think it's at 6 p.m. So, I haven't committed to it yet, but in all likelihood, I'll probably live stream it. Okay. Yep. Yeah, some comments I can't put up here. I'm reading your comments. That's why there's dead air right now. Okay. All right. So what time is it? Oh, it's already 8:40. So let me check real quick. Let's see if there's any updates on this shooting in North Carolina. And just as I predicted it, when I came on the air, I said President was on his way back from England, and probably touched back on U.S. soil during my podcast, and just posted a few minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, President Trump and First Lady have returned to the United States following their second state visit to the United Kingdom. So they just landed back in the U.S. safely. So I can update you with that. Okay, I don't see much more on North Carolina, but it doesn't mean it's not a serious situation. I just don't know anything more about it. Usually if it's really big, I'll see an awful lot of news, but I'm not seeing that type of urgency right now. Okay. All right. So I'm going to say this again. All right. First and foremost, I am extremely grateful. You're going to hear that all the time. For those of you who follow me and trust in my news reporting, I really appreciate your support by sharing the news stories and everything out there. I can't do what I do without you. So you're very, very important and special in my life. Thank you for that. And again, even if I take a reserved approach and I don't jump on the bandwagon just out there in internet land, I am not a follower. These days I look at myself as being a leader. And when I lead, I have to do it very responsibly, even if it means I have to be more cautious and conservative about things. I just want to see that the correct information gets put out here. All right. So with that being said, if you're new, welcome aboard. Really appreciate you. Every Thursday night, 7:00, right here. There's more coming. We got a little sidetracked with Charlie Kirk's assassination, and rightfully so. That took full precedence over everything. And again, you'll see some things coming out very, very soon. Okay. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to call it a night, and I'm going to go check on this story and see if I can get you any other updates with that. All right. God bless you guys. Love you very, very much. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.